Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Imaginations project by UMAC Futures. My name is Zhao Ke, the director of the Electronic Science and Technology Museum, University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. I'm here in Chengdu, China. I also work as a board member of the UMAC and the chair of the UMAC Futures. As you may know, we started a series of the interviews, online interviews from around the world since 2019. That is the Imaginations project. For now, we have interviewed 23 colleagues from 12 countries. So this project aims to listen to their voice, to follow their imaginations. It's kind of the description and observation aiming to re-image and reconstruct the university museum in the new era. So for each of us has imaginations, we believe it brings more hope, energy, and vitality. So if you are interested, you can just access all the recordings on the UMAC website and the YouTube channel. Last year, the UMAC 2024 was hosted as a TU Dresden in Germany with Universum Joint Conference. So today we have a very good friend who I met in Dresden. Let's welcome Joshua Gorman from Harvard University, the United States. Josh is executive director of Harvard University's collection of historical scientific instruments, and he is first executive director there. So, hello, Josh. Could you please introduce yourself and your institution to everyone?
Of course. Thank you, Jacques. Thank you so much for this invitation. I'm so delighted to join. I'm Josh Gorman. I am the executive director of Harvard's collection of historical scientific instruments. Ours is one of several collections across Harvard University. Our collection got its start. We're in our 10th decade. It was nearly 100 years ago when David P. Wheatland, who had studied electricity and mathematics at Harvard University, came back to the university to serve as the secretary of the physics department. So he was really the administrative director of the department, and he was a private collector. And so among his duties at the university for the physics department was minding the supply cabinets for the physics laboratories. So these were cabinets that were full of old instruments, bits of glass and brass and lenses and whatnot, that the physics lab assistants, if something broke in the lab where they were supporting research, they would go into the supply cabinet and take a piece off and fix the instruments. So Mr. Wheatland was, minding these and building a collection. He started his collection with historic European texts about electricity. And he noticed that in these books that he was buying, that the figures in his texts from the 17th and 18th century looked very similar to some of the instruments in his supply cabinet. So he started pulling some of these beautiful instruments out, and over time realized that these old instruments that the assistants from the laboratories were tearing apart actually constituted one of the finest collections of electrical devices and physics instruments in North America from the 17th and 18th century. So he started gathering all of these up and going to all the other laboratories across campus and gathering the instruments at this moment when there's a real generational change in the 1930s and 40s and 50s in the way that science is being taught at Harvard. In 1948, he has the collection instituted officially by the university. In 1968, he becomes affiliated with the History of Science department. And in 2005, we opened in a new facility in the University Science Center, where we have 2 galleries and our new storage closets, where we have a collection of about 25,000 objects.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Sounds brilliant, and good to know that the main connection was from the professionals from the university. And okay, let's just get started. We have enough time to share your ideas about your university connection, and we just have 4 simple questions for you. So as we may discussed in Dresden. And for now, I would like to know what is the specific project or program are you working on right now?
Well, so I've been at the collection only a year. Yesterday was my 1 year anniversary with the collection, and yeah, it's been a wild ride because when I came on board, we knew that we were having some physical changes. There are renovations going on in our building, and we need to move the bulk of our collection to a new offsite storage facility. So this has been in planning for a couple of years and really in earnest over the last, say, 6 or 7 months. Um, Simultaneously or shortly after I arrived, we learned that our collections management system, our databases, had reached the end of life, and so we are currently working on the migration of our digital infrastructure to a new collections management environment that'll live on the cloud. And then last summer, we had some major changes to our staffing. Our curator of the collection, Sarah Scheffner, who had been with the collection for 24 years, retired, and a couple of other staff members found other opportunities. So um, I find myself in a moment where we are addressing the physical, the digital, and the human infrastructure of the collection all at once. And so it's been quite a challenge trying to understand things as we are a little bit short-staffed. It's been a wonderful opportunity, though. I know the collection better now than I would have if I wasn't also serving as curator and collections manager and trying to keep all of that moving forward. But right now, the major project is the move. And we will start on Monday, moving just the first few stages, but moving about 75% of our collection to a newly renovated space that is just outside of town, about 25 miles away.
Okay, good to know that it's just a brand new situation, right? For you. And it's
Yes.
also a brand new challenge for you from the human resources, the move of the connection and everything. And as I know that you before Harvard University, you worked in Smithsonian, right? Yes.
That's correct. Yes.
So from Smithsonian and to the scientific instrument connection in Harvard, what is the most unforgettable experience? Because you have transferred from this institution, it's a different kind of museums, and from a university museum.
So, a lot of people have asked me why I made that move. Um, and I loved my time at the Smithsonian. I was at the American History Museum where I
Yeah.
was head of collections and conservation
Mhm.
registration. And
Mhm.
it was such a wonderful place. The Smithsonian is truly a treasure for the United States. But at the end of the day, as much good as we could do there, and as much good as we did do there, um, you know, the sense was, and the feeling really was that you could really do anything, and we were still going to get 300,000 visitors or 3 million visitors a year. That there wasn't as much of a connection to the really solid museum work that we did and why people were coming to this. And so coming to this collection at Harvard has really been a fascinating jump into a space where every decision we make with respect to what we collect, how we interpret, how we're interacting, has an impact on the community of students, of scholars, and other constituents who are visiting the museum. So it's been a really wonderful opportunity to take a lot of the work that I've done through a career and pivot it to try to drive investment in the collection, in the research, and the wonderful resource that these materials are for the university community and the community at large. So over the last year, my faculty director and I, my co-director, we've developed a new strategic plan. We're really doubling down on the collection's emphasis on engaging with teaching and research. We are, for many years, the collection has tried to stand itself up as a real museum. I mean, we're a tiny, scrappy collection with a wonderful gallery, but bringing people in, I mean, it's a struggle and to both gain visibility and to be taken seriously by our colleagues and peers across the museum community in the Boston area. And so a lot of the work that has been done has been about like, okay, we're doing things to professional standards and we're being very strict, which in some ways meant that access to our collection was limited, that it was really hard for a student to come in and see instruments associated with their research. There were barriers to faculty coming in and using the instruments. So we're really trying to explore what it could mean to engage with teaching and research at the university, to think about teaching with the entire collection, not just
Mhm.
a small cabinet or two that we call the teaching collection, but all of
Mhm.
it, recognizing that virtually everything that we have in our holdings were purchased by the university for students to learn with. And generations of students did learn with these instruments and used the microscopes and the transits and all of the wonderful materials we have. And so we're working to bring students back in contact with these, to teach how to explore material culture, how to think with the object and not just the text, and how to really embed that in curricula, both in the history of science department with whom we're still affiliated, but any department who will have us. And it's been phenomenal. We've been working with anthropology and statistics and physics and just bringing in so many people who um, maybe didn't imagine how a historic collection could connect to their education.
Mhm. Okay, thank you, Josh. I think that's you just find this way to challenge yourself, and I believe that most of the professionals in university museums have this kind of sense that we have to go back to the nature of the university connection, that is teaching.
Mhm.
Yeah, and make more connections between the objects and the students and the scholars by teaching or research. So yes, and it's great to know that you have done a lot of work about that, and and struggling just now you mentioned actually some of the scholars I have interviewed, they have the same feeling. And the last question I will propose to you is a question from last speaker, and it's related to the struggle. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's move to the third question. The third question is that I'm not sure you are going to Dubai this year.
I'm hoping very much too. I've arranged it in my budget, and it's
Okay.
the plan as long as as you may have heard, American universities are currently under some pressure, political
Hmm.
pressures, and as long as our
Okay.
budgets remain solid, I'll be in Dubai.
Hmm. Yeah, that's great. I'm going to Dubai, and as you may know, the ICOM 2025 Dubai, the theme is the future of museums in rapidly changing communities, and it's the topic. This main topic is with three interconnected subtitles: intangible heritage, youth power, and the rise of new technologies. So I would like to know, what do you think of these sub topics in your university museum context?
So I think in our university context, I mean, we're engaging with these as every museum is trying to really explore ways to document our collection using new technology and old technology
Yeah.
to connect with the intangible, to really sort of expand our curation beyond the material
Hmm.
object to its use and its participation in life. And certainly we're finding ways that we can engage with the AI juggernaut,
Hmm.
with all of the emerging technologies. Um, but I think where we're really doubling down, that we're finding that so many students, looking at youth power, um, the students today who are coming into our universities are absolutely digital native. They have
Yeah.
spent their lives with a smartphone in
Hmm.
hand, and it's wonderful. The facility they have with these devices is incredible. I think we have some challenges. I mean, we encounter students every day whose um, native use of the internet is Chat GPT, and they don't really have a sense of just how much hallucination is actually there. But we find as we are bringing students in our spaces and putting an object in their hands, just this incredulity, like they have no like, oh my God, you're letting me touch this thing. And the
Mm,
way they blossom, I think speaks to the power of these collections at universities. Universities are these wonderful spaces that have such consolidated value in libraries and special collections and art museums and natural history collections and scientific collections. And I think now more than perhaps previous generations, we have a calling in these spaces to put these objects in front of students to help them learn how to deal with the sort of physical, mechanical, manipulable world that is
mhm,
fundamentally different than the digital world that they inhabit.
mhm,
And I don't know how we do that just yet.
mhm,
I mean, this is part of the experimentation that we are and all of our colleagues around the world are doing is trying to understand what is the call of the museum in this moment and to connect to that tangible heritage
mhm,
that and that speaks to the intangible that is fundamentally different than the digital heritage that many of our students are just exclusively familiar with. So I think these are the questions that we're asking. We're asking them directly of our students, trying to understand how they understand this as different. And it's remarkable. I mean, I was recently speaking with a student, and we were just talking about YouTube. What do you watch? And
mhm,
he talked about how he watches videotapes that like digitized video that students were
mm,
making in the late 1990s and early 2000s in high
mhm.
schools. So kids with camcorders going around shooting videos of their
Okay.
friends. And he
Mhm,
watches these because he doesn't know what it's like to live in a world where everyone's not looking at their phone. Um,
mm,
and so there's this desire to understand connection. Um, and he expressed a desire to understand connection that I think is something that we can provide in our spaces because the turn in museums over the last 50 years that where we've been about people and not objects so much is
mhm,
we've learned so much from that. We've done so much good in so many different community
mhm,
contexts as we lead with our collections in the university community and try to create that community, that physical
mhm.
community with our students on campus. I think it could do some real good.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm excited to learn and listen about and take from Dubai, I hope.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Josh. And I think it's just now you mentioned is a core conception is that most of the students now they are the digital native, right? And they understand the world from a totally different way. Yeah, and most of the part is from the virtual world. So maybe our duty is to, with the help of all the physical objects, to help them know more about this world. And that is also the challenge for our museum because our students, most of our students are from the electronics field. So yeah, and sometimes we have to explain the transformation of the science disciplines. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe in the 200 years ago, we learn science from the objects. The objects are from the nature, and for now, the exact science are changing. And we learn that from the books, the words, the context from a different way. Maybe for now, for them, they are learning from the computer, from the internet, but sometimes we explain that the science come from that way to this form. So, okay. And how about the use power? Do you have I checked your website. I found that you have students curator, right? You have that project. And how about the students? How about them working or researching? as a independent group or teams
Yeah.
in your connection?
Yeah, that's been a wonderful thing we started last summer. Harvard has wonderful opportunities for its undergraduates through a couple of fellowship programs to remain on campus over the summer and engage in deep research. And so we've built, we'll be doing it this summer, a cohort of student colleagues that we bring into the museum. We treat them as our equals. We give them the space, and um, we split their time in thirds. Um, you know, community building, so going to visit colleagues and collections around the city. We have so many wonderful museums in the area to visit, working directly, professional projects for the collection, whether that's cataloging and inventory or doing specific educational work, and then allowing them an exhibition space to have self-directed research, and which results in an exhibition project. And of course, we provide mentorship and guidance on how to build an exhibit, but really allow them the space to identify the problem, the question, the solution, and to create an exhibition out of it. And it's been a wonderful opportunity. Uh, this year, we've had one of our students who came to us last summer. She's continued to work with the collection over
Okay, yeah.
the year. We brought a new cohort of students who are coming in and helping us explore, learn what information we have, and are helping to build the basis for better provenance research for our collections. So it's been wonderful to have these young, excited, so energetic students working alongside us every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And as it can just broaden the age of the connection. And I believe they are from different backgrounds, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. We have students. So the university has a program called the Du Bois Scholarship Program, where we bring in students from historically Black colleges and universities to campus to do these research projects. We have two, maybe three of those students joining us this summer. We had two last summer who were working on exhibition projects. Students from the history of science and theater, really from across the university. And we've been proud, I mean, beyond those projects, as we are making our collections available to researchers. Um, a number of researchers have approached us to engage with our collections. We're currently working with a young woman who is she's doing a joint PhD between biology and history of science and critical media practice, which includes a strong emphasis on visual culture. And we hired her last summer to um, to work with a donor who was giving us a microscope. And the donor's qualification is he wanted the microscope to be used when it came to our collection, which is, a challenge for us because it was this very complicated microscope. It was one of the last of the generation of visual microscopes before they start getting into
Okay.
invisible light electronic microscopes and whatnot. And so Beatrice, the student, joined the donor for several weeks in his laboratory in his home, learning how to use this microscope and documenting all of the pieces, and writing an instruction manual for using the microscope.
Hmm.
And as she did this, she realized that this microscope had the capacity to image biological specimens in a way that she was researching in her
Oh,
own PhD research, but
that's
she had a
good.
gap. So she was
Hmm.
research her dissertation is on the role of visualization in certain biological processes in sort of the 20th century. And she didn't have the sources for a period of time in the 70s and 80s that this
Hmm.
microscope was being used. And
Hmm.
so when we acquired the microscope, we acquired it and sent it directly to her laboratory in her biology laboratory, where it's currently on loan, where she is currently doing novel research with one of our collections objects so that she can fill a gap in her dissertation. Um, and it's a wonderful thing. I mean, the microscope is in use. We are learning so much more about it. It's contributing to new information in a way that I don't think anyone expected a microscope of this vintage
Yeah.
ever would again.
Yeah. And for the students, it's not only the connection in university museums. It's not only for the interdisciplinary study or learning, but most of the time it can also strengthen their own disciplines.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes we have similar exams because we have a students committee in our museum, and we have a student director, students deputy director, like that.
Wow.
And yeah. We can talk later. And okay, let's move to the fourth question. So it's very interesting. It's from the last speaker, our last speaker, Ken. He's from the University of Tasmania. I think you might meet him in
I did,
Dresden.
yes. Yeah.
Yes, Ken. And now he is chair of the COMAC. COMAC is Association of University Museums in Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, they updated the organization, and he is a chair now. He proposed that he proposed two questions, but I think it's they are just one. The first one is, how do you reconcile the opposing values of wanting to connect more objects and to safely look after these objects in storage and in display? And the second one is, what role can university museums play in better understanding that tension and challenging between wanting to preserve material culture for the future and reconciling that with the challenges posed by the changing environment?
Mhm.
So, what's your
Well,
answer?
um, I mean, many museum professionals won't like it. I mean, um, over my career, I've come to align with what was most recently sort of articulated in Rainey Tisdale's collections manifesto, which is that an unused collection is useless. Um, and and so I am resolved that one of the roles of the university museum is to be on the edge of understanding how we can activate our collections. Um, and and when it's this tension between preservation and access, if they come to a head, I'm going to choose access every time. Because
Hmm.
why do we have these if not to use them? I think,
Hmm.
while there are, thousands of counterexamples of great exhibitions that have used long held collections, we all know that frequently exhibitions, the use of collections
Hmm.
focuses on the most recently collected materials, and that every generation collects what they think the story should
Mm.
be about the past. And
Yeah.
that's not to say that we should jettison the past, that
Hmm.
but we need to find ways to activate and use it. And that's an ethic that I bring to my work, and then that we've embedded in our work at the collection of historical scientific instruments. And the and that means that we need to be very critical of our holdings. We need to understand very clearly our capacity for care, and to plan for that comprehensively. Um, Frankly, the collection for has collected actively for a very long time, and we have collected beyond our capacity to care for some materials. And that has led us to the present challenge that I opened with, that we have a crisis of space, we have a crisis of digital descriptive capacity, we have a crisis of staffing. Sorry, I see the emojis that are popping up. Um,
Yeah. So like this.
yeah,
Why do why I don't I have this? Okay.
I don't know. Um, so this is a challenge. I mean, we are quite fortunate that we have the support of the university to care for the collection and to expand our holdings, our storage space to expand our holdings, but not everyone has that. So, and we're even going to have to make difficult decisions about what we have. Um, I was looking today at what is it? surveying transits, the telescopes that you use to measure landscapes.
Hmm.
We have dozens in our collection, and they're wonderful. I mean, for good reason. The surveying instruments are some of the first instruments that the university purchased. Surveying was a crucial component of the undergraduate curriculum well into the 20th century. Everyone had to learn surveying, so it was part of what it meant to go to this college. Um, but I'm not sure that we need 97 of them. I know it is very difficult to care for and describe 97 of them. So we're exploring ways that we can use them and understand which are the most important, which tell the most important stories. And then we'll work to make sure that we are absolutely making the best use and care of those materials possible. So, I mean, I think we struggle with the that challenge as every museum does, but I think the opportunity with the university is to experiment with the ways in which we can activate and use these collections so that there can be further investment in museums as important sites of inquiry and saving knowledge.
Hmm. Thank you, Josh. I'm agree with you that that is charming and the nature of the university museum, right? And
Yeah.
we care more. Yes, we care about the safety of the connections, and we care more about the education and exhibition, something like that. So, okay, and what is your question to the next speaker? Because we use this way to connect us more, you know.
Oh no, I love this, and I'm going to ask another two-part question, um,
Uh-huh.
and I can type this and send it later if better. But so one thing we're struggling with in universities in the United States right now, and I think it's a challenge around the world, is we're in a moment where there's a real concern about what constitutes truth and reality. With the AI everywhere, making images and deep fakes and everything, and then fake news and um, a real manipulation of media on a global scale. There's a real questioning of what is true. And at the same time, museums, we have we have great data everywhere around the world that museums are among the most trusted knowledge institutions in the world. People
Mm.
trust us to tell the truth. And and so I'd like to challenge the next speaker to either invalidate that, to explain why museums are not trustworthy, or to suggest a way that we can in or that they can in their museum exploit that trust to convey a tenuous truth, to convey contested knowledge in a way that people will believe. So it's
Mm.
you know, are museums actually trustworthy? And if they are, well, how can you use this to challenge this fear that no one's telling the truth, that nothing is real?
Mm. Okay, all right, Josh, that is a deep thought. And in 2023, Australia, the theme of the UMAC is truth telling. You know that?
I did not know that.
It's
Now
truth telling. Yeah.
I'm embarrassed. I was in Dresden last year in
Mm, yeah.
2024. Before
Yeah.
that, my previous UMAC was 2003. So there was a 20-year
Oh,
gap between my
oh.
UMAC conferences. But
And
I'm
where
delighted.
was
That
that
was
in 2003?
that was in Norman, Oklahoma, at the University of Oklahoma. They had just opened the Sam Noble Museum of Oklahoma History or Natural, a wonderful museum in Norman.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I'm delighted to be back in university museums again.
Yeah. Were you a student at that time?
I was I well I was in my first professional job, having
Hmm.
graduated as an undergraduate, but I was simultaneously working on my master's degree in museum studies.
Okay, good to find an old friend. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Josh. And we have finished all the four questions. And the last question from you. Yeah, I think it's a deep thought, and all the professionals, I think we have to think about it. Okay. So it's a very fruitful talk with you, and thank you very much, Josh.
Oh, thank you for this opportunity. I'm so delighted to get to talk with you some more, and I'll look forward to having some great conversation in Dubai.
Yeah. And that's all from us today. And we have to thank our audience. And last, I have to say, UMAC Futures, we are coming, and see you next time.